I guess. Yeah.
Wonderful. Hey, we have talked a lot about all this art,
Yeah.
NFT, and all these things. Of course, there are still so many things we need to talk. Maybe we will catch up again in
Yeah, let's do that.
the future podcast again.
Yeah,
So,
let's do that.
but before we end anything, I want to ask again, like the last questions. All these NFTs, all this art, all these things what we have been talking about, we have been sharing, and all the things that you are doing right now, or in general life, what do you think the meaning of this, the meaning of your life, the meaning in general?
That's so big. I was this is very very good because I was talking about this too. We had like a small thing, like a group of us. We're talking about this, but I'll take my time on this. It's this thing of I don't know. Again,
Okay.
again to your viewers who don't know, but you probably know, you already know this. That I'm a believer. I'm very spiritual. I believe in God, Jesus, our Lord and Savior. And so the Bible also like is a thing of like we don't understand. We're like sounds Isaiah 55, right? His as high as heaven is above earth. His ways are above our ways, right? Like he thinks like God is orchestrating everything already.
Okay.
Right? But I believe. So I'll use this analogy. I was telling this to a group of people, right? For me, my meaning is already set by God. All right. I'm just doing my part. And I just need to follow his leading. And excuse me, one thing I want to say on record is everything I've done till now have come from God. Like my biggest projects came when I was just sitting down and in a position of receiving, and it came to me. Like it just walked in. I never sought any of my big projects. It just came because I've been like in the position of receiving, like I said. But just going back to like the meaning part, right? I want to use this one analogy and give you one idea, which I think would be nice. God uses, there's this, I want to say, let's, like I said, all of us are creatives, right? All of us are creatives. Regardless of if you think you're a creative or not, you are a creative, okay?
Yes, we are.
You are a creative. And so we are all creating. We're all made to create because who created us? The creator in his image. Yes or no? God is a creator and he created us in his image, right? So we, by virtue of being in his image, we're also creators. We're made to create in here, right? So I want to use an analogy of painting. So let's just call all of us, let's say we can create, right? Individually, we can create ourselves. So we are all like brushes.
Okay.
Brushes. Okay. And I don't know if you have ever painted, but as an artist who paints and all of that, who has painted, you can actually create a whole painting with one brush if you want to. But ideally, you would want a bunch of brushes to serve its own purpose.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a fine brush does the details, a bigger brush does the background. So each of us, like brushes, have our own part. God is creating his masterpiece, right?
Oh, really wonderful.
God is using ours, and then the thing is, we don't really know what we're doing, but God knows what he's doing. God knows where he's putting us. So, like I said, I don't know if you have ever seen a painting being painted. Sometimes when the artist is creating, you don't really know why he's putting that initial first 2-3 strokes because you don't know what he's creating.
Exactly.
You can't really jump into conclusions yet. So as us being so early, like in NFTs even, right? Like being so early into this, where being that 1 or 2, 3 different strokes, we don't know what's happening ourselves, but we're just doing our thing, right? And in oil painting, there's this wonderful analogy that I was, again, I got this epiphany or revelation by God to give this group of we have a community called Prism. So where we're talking and then to just tying to the analogy of painting, right? Excuse me. In oil painting, there's a certain thing called an underpaint.
Underpaint.
Bitorde paint.
Okay.
That is usually first drawing sketch gruo, and then on top of that you do an underpaint with just like a dark brown color, just to get an idea of how the overall thing would look. It's like all of dark paint by shades where you'll put the shades, where you'll put the light and all of those different things. to get an idea of how the overall thing would look. That underpaint usually is never seen at the end of the picture because everything asal
Yes.
cover.
Yeah.
Some of us, we are called to be underpaints. We won't really see our work, but we probably serve the most essential purpose of
Wonderful.
we're setting it up for our future generations. We're setting it up. We're building that blueprint, that sketch for someone else to paint on, and we should be okay with that. And for me, there's a certain level of peace that I get in knowing that God has it in control. He's the artist. He's a masterpiece, and we probably won't know in our lifetimes that what artwork He's creating. But when we all zoom out, when we all get to heaven with Him, we'll get to see what artwork He has actually created. Right? We don't see
That's
the crowd when we're in
beautiful.
the crowd. We don't see the picture when we're in the picture. We only have to get out of it to see the picture, right?
Yeah.
And with our own flaws, like us being brushes, right? Us being brushes, even with our own flaws. Wait, is your internet breaking again?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, with our own flaws, God uses us. I want to use again the painting analogy. I don't know how true this is, but I read it somewhere about how Michelangelo used broken brushes. A lot of older all these Renaissance painters, because of course paint brushes to alak bisi binabayad at that time, so they would use broken brushes also. But a lot of us, like we often probably feel broken in ourselves. Like we have our past, we have our mistakes that we have made, our own scars. But God saves us. God uses the broken brushes, right? And this is I forgot, in Exodus or somewhere, where God uses God is called the altar of broken stones. He's the altar of broken stones, right? So there's this thing of like, we are broken stones, but then we are created. Like, you get what I'm saying? So we all have our flaws and all that, but we all have our part to like
contribute.
Yeah, contribute, and God will use it at some point anyway, right?
That's amazing.
It's just for us to fall into that place. And I truly believe that God has already made like a straight line to our destiny. It is us who go like left, right.
Yeah.
Like we just have to trust in Him. And God has called us to do that. Like, we just have to rejoice as we do it. And we only get to rejoice when we're doing what we love. Right? Like it's like, I don't know, it's just this thing of like, we're called to have fun and find our own passion, and then in a way God will use us. And we sometimes we don't even like, and like I said, by making an impact, we don't have to come to a podcast. We don't have to, like I said, it's perhaps an individual conversation. You may have a good conversation with, and I don't know if you're okay with me saying this to the public about your Sunday school thing. May I?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so my friend here, he's a Sunday school teacher in his part-time as well. So we were having this wonderful conversation a week ago, or when we were having our conversation earlier. We were talking about how, like, regardless of whatever he's doing in his life, whatever you're doing in your life, you may probably have the biggest impact by just being a Sunday school teacher, by just talking to one student who may go on to think. And may I talk? This is one thing we left off. We didn't finish last time. Let me finish.
Okay,
this.
sure.
Is this where this is where your internet broke off? No? So there's this thing where regardless of this podcast or whatever, I, for one, value individual conversations the most. As much as, just think about the individual conversations Jesus must have had with people. Like, Jesus didn't write the Bible.
Yes.
Jesus had 12 disciples that he spoke to, spend time with. And within those people went on to write books about him. Right? So Jesus didn't need a podcast. Jesus didn't need a YouTube channel. Jesus just talked to individuals.
Yes.
And I feel there's integrity in having the conversation I'm having with you. I want to have the same conversation with my mom and dad. I want to have the same conversation with my friends, you know? And there's a certain level of integrity in that, but also there's a certain level of respect that you give the individuals when you're having the same conversation that you will have with a bunch of people. So, and at the core, I want to just say, we need to value every single person and every single conversation we have, because we don't know the value of it. Like I said, we will never know our value until we get to heaven.
Yes.
Until God shows us, oh, look at that stroke that was made by you, you know? And you see how important that stroke was in that whole big painting, so is this I don't know thing where valuing each conversation is so important.
Yeah,
because
very true, very true.
it may lead to one person that talks to another person that talks to, again, perhaps millions of people, right? That millions of people may not have reached if you didn't value that one conversation we had with that one person. Yeah, so yeah.
Really wonderful. I mean,